The BullDawg Barbecue. Today we're going to make enchiladas. I'll move you over here. So here's what you're going to need. I got 2 pounds of hamburger over here, which you can use 1 pound if you like. You don't have to make this big of a deal here. We use about a half an onion, cumin, chili powder, garlic, enchilada sauce. And I don't have regular green chilies, so I'm going to use the diced tomatoes and green chilies. But I'm also going to need some cornstarch. And then on the side, I'm going to make refried beans. So I guess it's time to get to it. So let's go ahead and get our hamburger separated and get it in the pot. Okay, we'll be back. Damn it, man. Tried to turn that volume down. It didn't work. All right, let's open our enchilada sauce. I'm having to voice over this because Josh is in the background on the telephone yakking and yakking and yakking. God love him. I'm going to use 2 cans. Like I said, you can use 1 can. You can just make it a single thing, and you can use the small shells or the big shells. It's up to you. When I do these videos, it's basically to give you an idea of what you can put in and how it's going to taste. So, like I said, I'm using 2 cans of the red enchilada sauce. Now I'm going to put it over on the stove and let her heat up there a little bit. Hey, where'd you go? Come back. I ran away. Tick tock, tick tock. We're waiting, fat boy. Oh man, he went away for a while. Oh, here I come. Now, I'm going to move you over here and let you see what we got going on here. We got the, put me that half an onion that I diced up. I'm going to put it in a little oil. Let it start frying. And if you notice, I got it on 275. That's about medium heat on a regular stove. You don't want to cook them too quick, but you're not caramelizing them either. You're basically just getting them soft. You don't have to go full caramelization on them. I'm just going to throw my hamburger in here. You could do this with a pound of hamburger and a pound of sausage if you'd like to. Give it some more flavor. But I just use my 2 pounds of hamburger. Get her all chopped up here. It's an 80-20 hamburger. I believe GFS is where I get a 10-pound roll, like $2.29 a pound. If you're looking for bulk and you're looking for good food, GFS has got you covered. I don't know if you have one in your town or where you live, but we have one on Veterans Parkway in Clarksville. I believe it is behind Panera Bread, I believe. We get everything mixed up here. We get her going, get her hot. Now what I did is I put like a tablespoon of cumin and a tablespoon of chili powder, I believe, and it wasn't what I wanted. So we actually added a thing of taco seasoning. And for the flavor and for the poundage, we should have added 2 of them. If you're doing a 1 pound, just add 1 packet, but we used 2 and it turned out, or 1, and it turned out all right, but it could have been more flavorful, so we should have used 2. And so here you go. I'm putting in the cumin and the chili powder, and like I said, I used about a tablespoon apiece, I believe, and that helped it. But like I said, it should have been the taco seasoning packets, any of the little cheap packages. They're like what, 50 cents a piece? They would have. They'll work out perfect for you, believe me. This just kind of gave it a little kick to it because we didn't have that second packet. Actually, Josh had to run home and get it because I didn't have any. I had some enchilada seasoning up there in the little packets, but they were like 10 years old, so they weren't much account. We'll get her all sturdy in here. I don't like doing videos this way because it seems like I do a lot of dead air, but we didn't have a choice, and I really wanted you guys to see this one. This was, I think we ended up with like 9 of the full-size burrito shells, not the little ones, but the full-size burrito shells. Ended up with like 9 enchiladas, and they were freaking awesome, and they disappeared like it was nobody's business. All right, we're getting, like I said, we're getting that sauce heated up. That sauce is a little thin. It's a little runny. I don't like it. With cat trying to get in the cabinet. See how thin it is? It's like water. I mean, it's got good flavor to it, but it's like water. I want her a little thicker. So what I do is I get some cornstarch, and I mix like 2 tablespoons of it into a little water, and just mix it up. And once I get it mixed up real good into the water, I mix it into my enchilada sauce, and it thickens it up. Not real thick. You don't want it like gravy, but it does help it thicken it up a little bit, and it makes it a lot nicer. We're going to add me some garlic, probably about that much. It's about a tablespoon and a half or so. I mean, it might be 2, but I'd say a tablespoon and a half. There's my watch. All right, here we go with the cornstarch. That's what I was telling you. I think this thing was like $2 at Kroger's. You know, get you a bottle of that and keep it around as a thickening agent for when you need it. So that was a very heaping teaspoon. So probably, or tablespoon, about tablespoon, tablespoon and a half, 2 tablespoons, somewhere around there. Just mix it up in a little bit of water. You don't need a whole lot. And I want you to pour about half of it in to your enchilada sauce. You know, mix it up real good, and then let that set in there for half a second or so, and then add the rest of it. Don't pour it all in at once. It'll cool it down. It won't mix properly. Plus, you don't want any chance of getting a lump. We're going to finish letting that sauce heat up a little bit. We're going to stir this here again. Need a cameraman. I'm always fiddling with that camera and can't worry about what I'm doing and worry about that camera at the same time. It's hard to do when you're by yourself. But we get her done somehow. Alright, that's starting to look good. And believe me, when I was cooking this, I was standing over top of that, and that thing smelled amazing. All right, looks like we're getting our sauce heated up here and just about ready to go. Yeah, let's go ahead and mix in our cornstarch. If you notice, I pour a little bit in, then get her mixed in real well. And give it a second to see if it's going to thicken up any more than what it is. Normally it takes the whole thing, and it'll only thicken it a little bit. It won't, like I said, it won't be like gravy unless you go crazy on the cornstarch, especially with that much sauce. I use 2 cans. Now if you're going to use 1 can, only use 1 tablespoon of the cornstarch. And it's still a little thinner than I like, so I go ahead and add the rest of it. Yeah, mix her up again because that stuff will settle in the bottom. Now leave that on and let it heat for, I don't know, 5 or 10 minutes. Let that thicken up and make sure it's good and hot. By the time my hamburger's ready, it's usually ready. But as you can tell, I'm making sure that this is mixed in real well. I don't want to taste the cornstarch. As you can see, it's getting a little thicker there. That's what we wanted. We didn't want it to go real thick, but we don't want it to stay that thin. It's just so thin that it's like water, and I don't care for it. Taste test, of course. Make sure that when you are cooking, taste your food. If it's not what you want, then change it. Make it better. Always keep your rack of. I've got like 4 dozen spoons that I'm constantly tasting to see if make sure things are the way I want it. Don't hesitate to taste it. If it needs a little salt, needs some pepper, add that in as you go to suit your taste, not mine. I'm eating this. You fix yours the way you want it. Your tastes are going to be different than mine. Nobody's tastes are exactly the same. Nobody's. I guess we got a lot of stuff I could have cut out, but I had this video ready to go, and then I realized that I had a lot of language and stuff in it that I had to cut. But I did not have diced green chilies. Could not. I thought I had 2 cans of them. Could not find them. So what I did is, and this is the Rattel tomatoes and green chilies, diced tomatoes and green chilies. They worked out just as good. But normally I use the little cans of diced green chilies, 2 of them. All right, we're back. There, Josh had ran down and got his taco seasoning. His truck would not hit a lick. It had good battery, everything, but it just would not hit a lick. We come to find out later, after I went out and looked at it, that we found out that he had a bad, what is it called? The starter solenoid switch or fuse was bad. We got another one, put her in there, and it took off just fine. But we were also finding out that he had an issue with a transmission solenoid that we had to replace, and that did good until the other day when his transmission went completely out. So poor guy's just had a heck of a time with this Chevy truck. He's got a Chevy Silverado that he just loves, and it's just falling apart on him. And we put the taco seasoning in there, and it worked out well. But like I said, I wished we'd have had that second pack, but we just didn't have it. There's Mr. Josh, of course. He lives up the street from me, and we've become very good friends. I ain't gonna say no more else about that. We don't want his head to swell or make him blush. All right, we're gonna get ready to start putting things together. The meat's done, the sauce is done. I've got them all heated up. Now what you're going to need, I'm using the large, I guess you'd call them burrito shells, the tortilla shells. You can use the small ones. They work out just as well. But what I did is I got me a large skillet and poured my sauce into that as the same size as my shells. I want to put sauce on one side of my shell. And the reason being is because that is going to be where my meat and stuff goes. So I want that sauce inside with the meat. I don't want it dry on the inside. Which is what I'm doing here, of course, off camera. Like I said, I can't worry about the camera and the food at the same time. Sometimes I kind of drop the ball. You get to look at my ugly ass forehead. I try to put these videos together so that you guys can see pretty much everything. And, flatter me to death. Try these recipes and, let me know what you think. This is basically to get you to cook. Stop going out and eating. It costs you a fortune. When you can make twice as much at the house for what you're paying for that out to eat. I know that you're not having to cook it, but see how I dip my shell in the stuff, and then I'm going to put it on this big plate so that I'll have plenty of space to work on. But yeah, don't stop going out and eat so much, folks. Especially with COVID going on right now. Most places are closed anyway. Of course, in Indiana here, we don't have too much trouble that I can tell. I haven't seen too much change around here. I mean, we pretty much go on with life as normal. But I'd put me a couple of big spoons of sauce in there. Now I'm using the Mexican blend cheese. You can use any cheese that your little heart desires. I'm going to put me a little bit on there, and then I'm going to roll this up. I'm leaving the ends open. There's no sense in going through all that to close them. Just spin them tight and put them in your pan. But now I'm using a 9 by 13, and I put a little sauce in the bottom of that so that these things don't stick. I know I didn't show that, but there is a 9 by 13 over there off to the side, and it's got a little bit of the red sauce in the bottom of it. I just coat the bottom of it lightly, and then we just keep mixing. Now, I apologize, I do not have a way of speeding this up in this particular program that I'm using. That butter knife came in handy because the pan was exactly the same size as the shell. And like I said, you can fast forward past this if you like. I should have did this on a different program and speeded it up, but I didn't have that option. I'm using OBS to do the voiceover because believe me, you don't want to hear the conversations that were going on. This is not the political channel, and believe me, that's a lot of what was being talked about at the moment. And like I said, I believe I ended up with like 9 of these. I'm gonna make them again here pretty soon. I may redo the video at that point. We may change things around a little bit. Not much, but a little bit. We may tweak it a little bit. Now, don't use all of your meat. Save you a little bit. So instead of that 10th one, just make 9 and use that last little bit of meat because we're going to use it. And the full recipe on this will be at the end of the video because I know a lot of people have like the Fire Stick TVs and stuff like that that they watch their YouTube videos on, and you cannot get the description in there that I can find. So instead of putting it in the description, I put a picture at the end, and you can pause it and write it down at that point if you like. I think it makes it easier for everybody anyway. The only if it was in the description, you could copy and paste it. So but this works out well for most of the people that I know that use it. Looks like we're getting pretty close to the end here. And as you can tell, usually these videos are done in advance. And this was before our big snowstorm. even though I'm telling you about it now. This was filmed probably about 3 weeks ago. We're now in February. I think this was filmed right after Christmas. What I'm doing over is spreading that meat out on top of that. I put my, you'll see here as I pull it over to the table, I put my enchiladas in my pan. Like I said, there's sauce underneath and sauce inside. I'm going to spread the meat out, and then I'm going to pour my sauce over top of it and use all my sauce. Nothing went to waste. I'm going to put me some cheese on there first. I don't want my cheese burning, so I'm going to put it under the sauce. And then I have to look. Let me pull this sheet right here. I'll tell you exactly what the temperatures were in the oven while you finish watching that. Looks like 400 degrees for probably about a half an hour. Just until everything's good and melted and, you know, has started to bubble real good. It'll start to boil. And then pull her out on the counter after it's cooked. Let her sit for half an hour or so. 15 minutes, half hour before you serve it. Let it cool a little bit, get a little sticky before you serve it. Alright, we put her in the oven, and now we got a mess to clean up, including the floor. There's always some on the floor. I got a robot vacuum cleaner that tries to keep up with it, but I'm messier than it is good. And hopefully my fat ass will turn the camera off so you don't have to just watch me clean. There we go. Please do that. Subscribe and hit that notification.
Oh, it's done. It is done. How long was it in there?
About 20 minutes.
Is that it? I don't need to go gather any of the camera. Oh, it's still sizzling. See that little bark on it right now? I don't know why I call it bark. Yeah. I ain't talked to Brandy in a long time, but if I post this picture, she'll be like, that ain't your catching. Yeah, you can see all that burger on top cooking right there. It's done. Yeah, let that soak in. Oh, you got to record too.
It's what it's doing.
Oh, it's recording right now?
Alright. Here's what we got. A little sour cream. I put me a little bit of parsley flakes on there. And let's see what we got here. And a side of refried beans. Get us a little taste. That's good. That's good. You got to give this a try, folks. You can add or take away anything you want, but you got to give this a try. So till next time, it's BullDawg. See ya.